You're listening to A Slice of Therapy with me, Alun Parry. Now, every time I watch the film E.T., the extraterrestrial, I cry. And maybe you do as well. It's one of those films, E.T., that people tend to cry at. And yet, when I think about it, it's a strange thing that I should feel such a level of connection to E.T. that I will actually cry. Because when you think about it, what do I have in common with E.T.? You know, it's not that E.T.'s an extraterrestrial and I'm one as well, and so I have some sense of connection in that sense. It's not, for instance, that, I've got a loved one who's an extraterrestrial. I'm not saying, well, this is really connecting to my heartstrings because, Ricky's an extraterrestrial. And, to my knowledge, they may well be well disguised, but to my knowledge, I've never met an extraterrestrial. So how on earth am I able to have such an emotional reaction to E.T. when I don't, on the face of it, have anything in common? And it's not just about E.T., any film really. Lots of people cry at the film Steel Magnolias, even though they're not a beautician from the southern states of America. Or people cry at Brokeback Mountain, even though they're not a cowboy. So how on earth can Hollywood create that level of connection, so much so that we openly weep as we watch the story, even though we, on the face of it, don't have anything in common? Well, the answer to that is down to three things that are universal to us all. And so it doesn't matter that I'm not a cowboy. It doesn't matter that I'm not a beautician from the southern states. There are things about us that are universal. So universal, in fact, that we connect to them quite naturally. And those three things are feelings, needs, and finally, hopes and dreams. Now, when I talk about feelings, what I'm talking about here are emotions. So things like sad or angry or happy or afraid. And it's very easy for me to connect to somebody displaying that emotion, even if I'm not a cowboy, even if I'm not a beautician from the southern states of America. I might not have that in common, but I know what it is to feel sad. I know what it is to feel hurt and heartbroken because, of course, I've felt those emotions as well. And so when I see a character on a movie screen going through those emotions, then I know exactly what they're feeling. I know what it is to feel those feelings, and so I connect. I connect on the basis of the fact that they have feelings and I know what that's like. Now, the second thing I said was needs. And once again, this is universal to us all, isn't it? We all have needs. I often find it amusing when somebody describes themselves as needy, or somebody describes somebody else as needy, as an insult, because the truth is we all have needs, so I guess we're all needy. And, some of those needs are kind of, food and shelter and warmth and air and all those kind of things. But we have kind of psychological needs as well, don't we? Very human, emotional needs. And when we see a character displaying the fact that they need something, then that's very connecting too, because once again, it's universal. I know what it is to need company. I know what it is to need connection. I know what it is to need understanding and respect, or to matter, or whatever it is that we see that character really striving for, really needing. I know what that's like. And so I don't have to be a cowboy. I don't have to be a beautician from the southern states of America. I don't have to be a small boy with an alien. I can connect to those needs because I've experienced each of those too. And so we've seen how universal feelings and emotions are. We've seen that needs are universal too. And the third thing that we connect to are hopes and dreams. Because we all have hopes and dreams, don't we? And so once again, it's universal. Now, each of us has different hopes and dreams. But when we see a character longing for something to change in their life for the better, we know what that's like too, don't we? We know what it's like to have hopes and dreams. And so even though we might be watching a character on a movie screen that on the face of it is very, very different to us, the thing that connects us and so allows us to connect so deeply that we will even cry as we witness their story, are those universal things about each and every one of us. We all have emotions, we all have needs, and we all have hopes and dreams. And so if we're looking for connection for ourselves, I wonder what it would be like if we were to share those things rather than hide them. Because in life we tend to pretend, don't we, that we don't have emotions. I'm fine. Something difficult will happen and yet someone will contact us and say, how's things? You'll say, I'm fine. So we hide these kind of things. We sometimes feel ashamed of even having needs. Like I said earlier, we come up with that, I don't want to be too needy. As if having needs is something that all of us doesn't have. It's also difficult, isn't it, to share our hopes and dreams as well. But I wonder what would happen, especially if we selected well, especially if we shared them with those who really deserve to hear them. What would it be like in terms of inviting connection to us, the kind of connection that we all need in life, if we began to share those things? If when somebody says, how are things, we just honestly stated what it was that we were feeling in that moment. If we were able to report, just as a matter of fact, the kind of things that we were needing at the moment that perhaps were not being met. If we were able to find the people who really deserve to hear our hopes and dreams and share them. Because we kind of become alienated from these things, don't we? It's almost like a disconnection from ourselves. It can be easy really to find 10 insults than it is to find 10 needs that we might be feeling. And so, to some extent, it's quite a radical thing, isn't it? To really know what we need and to know what we feel and be able to voice it. And so if we're looking to create connection, Hollywood gives us a clue. Because we can meet on a movie screen people that we have nothing in common with at all. And yet we can watch their story, their feelings, their needs, their hopes and dreams. And they are so universal that we can sit there with our popcorn and cry at this story in front of us. And so Hollywood gives us a clue about how to get connection. And so I wonder what it would be like if, albeit being selective maybe initially, to those people that we can most trust, but if we actually identified in ourselves, just on a regular basis, well, what am I feeling? What are my needs? What are my hopes and dreams? And be able to report those to others. Because if Hollywood can use that to invite connection, maybe that's how we can connect to each other too. So let's have a recap. We saw at the start that I regularly, repeatedly, reliably cry at the movie E.T., even though I'm not an extraterrestrial and I don't know any extraterrestrials. So how is that even possible that we can cry at movies where we have nothing in common with the hero of the movie? And we identified that it was three things that are universal to all of us. And that is our emotions, the things that we need, and our hopes and dreams. And so if Hollywood is able to invite connection from us to people that we don't even know, how powerful would it be if we invited connection too from the people that we do know and we do trust, if we too were able to share our feelings, our needs, our hopes and dreams, and get the very same connection for ourselves. Now, if you like this podcast episode, please share it so other people can get the benefit as well. And also coming soon, I'm launching a course and it's called 9 Ways to Beat Depression. And so if you're interested in that at all, you can go to asliceoftherapy.com/9 ways. That's asliceoftherapy.com/9 ways, and you'll get some information there about that course that will be coming up a little bit later in the year. And of course, you can work with me directly one-to-one. I'm Alun Parry, and you can find out more at liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. And please feel free to subscribe to the podcast. It's completely free, and you'll never miss an episode again. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back again on the next one.